lousy weather right across the whole sector. You can't let things drag on over there, Jack.
Is it a murder?
No, I don't believe so. Walter Jones was already in pretty bad shape. The heart and all the rest of it. So, just a routine check, okay? A routine matter, all right? I want to hear deaths from natural causes with no stories, you understand? I don't want a crime on my hands right now, seeing my bill of health, understand?
You're the boss, Vic.
Jack?
Of course, I understand.
You're really helping me out here, you know?
Get well, Vic. See you soon.
The weather forecast is awful, Inspector. It's likely to turn into a nightmare in a few hours. Don't drag on. We'll come to get you at 4 p.m.
Okay for 4 p.m. I don't expect to be any later than necessary.
Inspector Norm, welcome to Zagram. I'm Hubert Denolt, the attorney, Mr. Jones.
Okay, Mr. Nolan, let's go. I don't have much time.
Are you sure you don't want to take time to settle in? There's a room that's been prepared for you, Inspector Norm.
Unnecessary. If it turns out that Mr. Jones's death was accidental, then I have no reason to hang around here, Mr. Nolan.
I beg you to pardon me for this somewhat acrobatic descent. I had to put this ladder here urgently this morning to access the corpse. Yesterday evening, when I tried to help, poor Walter was stuck higher up in the rocks close to the edge. The waves must have sent the poor man's body rolling toward the bottom during the night. We suffered a terrible storm, you know.
Hello, Inspector Jack Norm. Welcome to your personal police assistant. Jack, this device was created to help you in your investigations. The goal of the software system is to rationalize the combination of clues, evidence, hypotheses, and deductions, which will allow you to quickly uncover the criminals. For this, your personal police assistant will store all information you will collect about the suspects during your investigations. It will remember their age, gender, and function. The incriminating and exculpatory evidence are also made note of. In addition, it will indicate in real time their geographical position in the surrounding areas where you might need to find them during your investigation. The Clue Manager will centralize all of the information that you have collected, whether it includes photos, documents, material evidence, or even suspects' statements. In your hands, you have more than a motive for matching clues that you will have collected. You also have a great tool for comparing them. This function will be particularly useful for validating the match between two prints, two footprints, or even the relationship between two pieces of an object. You can trust your personal police assistant to validate the correct hypothesis and to keep you from being misled into dead ends. This device includes a third function, which strictly depends on the two others. It is your progress manager. It divides your investigation into a certain number of precise interrogations, like different pieces of a puzzle. Your job becomes a child's game, Jack. When you know how to respond correctly to all of these questions, you will have solved your investigation.
A nail implanted in the cheek. His attacker wasn't light about it.
At first glance, the body doesn't show signs of death by drowning or hypothermia, and this injury on the forehead seems too superficial to have caused the death. It's the forensic expert's job now. It's for him to tell me what killed Walter Jones. Just one question. I won't be here for long. What can you tell me regarding the death of Walter Jones?
In my view, we're looking at a murder. I'm categorical, Inspector. I saw Baina push Walter over the edge. The identity of the culprit is not a matter of question for me.
Where were you and what were you doing last night?
I was at the restaurant with the guests when Walter left for his walk at around 10 p.m. I went back to my office maybe a quarter of an hour or half an hour later. I had to wait for him, as we had agreed upon in the afternoon. Not seeing him come, I looked out of the window, and that's when I saw what could have been a quarrel between Baina Jumhu and Walter at the Tortoise Belvedere. He fell to the bottom, in his wheelchair. I hurried to help him, but it was raining like mad, and I could not go down to the rocks to get him out of there. He was no longer moving. I think he died instantly. I came back to tell everyone what had happened, and I also immediately called the police.
What was your relationship with Walter Jones?
I've worked for Walter Jones for over 20 years. Our relationship was always excellent. In fact, he even did me the honor of asking me to call him by his first name. I admired this man immensely, Inspector. I would even say that I had affection for him, and that this was mutual.
Tell me, did your boss have a suicidal temperament? Or was he in the habit of taking unreasonable risks? Or was he in fragile health? Could it be that following severe medical treatment he suffered from dizziness and fainting spells? What more can I say? You have to tell me everything, Mr. Noland.
No, Inspector. Physically and mentally, Walter Jones was as solid as a rock. He only suffered from a paralysis of the lower limbs, but nothing that could explain this mortal fall.
I'll take note of it.
Is Walter Jones's death accidental? The death of Walter Jones seems to be criminal.
Reeves, it's Jack. The forensic expert's gonna have work. The death seems suspicious. A fall from a few meters that leaves scratches and an embedded nail in the face? It's not all that clear, you understand?
Jack, if it's like you said, I'm afraid you'll have to prolong your stay. Sorry. I didn't want to impose this on you. You have carte blanche to confirm this. Good luck.
What do you say about it, Inspector?
Your boss was murdered.
Well, I guess this list will be useful. It has the identities of all the people who currently reside on the island. And here's the key to your room. Because now I suppose you're going to be staying a while. I remain at your disposition, Inspector. Especially to give you a tour of the tower. It's huge, you know.
Thanks. I think I can manage.
Fine, I'll leave you then. See you later, Inspector.
Ah, here we are. Something interesting. Seemingly, Walter Jones was not alone the moment he had his great fall. The wheelchair made a chaotic journey before falling off the cliff. There's a piece missing on the armrest. Walter Jones must have hit himself here, against this rock. I need some graphite powder to take this print. The architect must have some drawing material. I could make myself some. I will wait for the coroner's report before I affirm anything. To what does this piece of cloth belong? Even more footprints. There were 2 people following Jones that evening.
I'm happy to see you here, Sonia.
Me too, Lorenzo. It's a pleasure to see you.
I would have preferred that we see each other in other circumstances.
You don't always have the choice.
Did your grandfather's death affect you deeply?
I don't know. I just can't believe it.
I had problems because of him. But they all went away after his tragic death. In the end, Jones was a good man.
Yes, certainly. I don't know what to think.
Would you like to change the subject?
No, not specially. I'm just a little off, that's all.
The sky is melancholic. Like us, Sonia.
It's true. Perfect weather for a burial.
Good morning. I'm Inspector Jack Norm. I am charged with conducting the investigation of the death of Mr. Jones.
Delighted, Mr. Inspector. Lorenzo Battaglieri. I'm the architect and the mastermind behind this tower in which you'll stay.
May I photograph your shoes?
Do it. Do it, Inspector, if it'll help to discover the truth.
Thanks.
I'm listening, Inspector. I want you to know that you can count on my total availability. I have a lot of free time now.
What can you tell me regarding the death of Walter Jones?
I can't tell you a thing, nothing at all. It's Hubert de Noland who woke me up to tell me about this business. I've got nothing more I can tell you.
Where were you and what were you doing last night?
I spent the evening in my studio listening to the radio. Then I learned of Jones's death from Noland.
What was your relationship with Walter Jones?
Our dealings, both professional and even more so personal, were never simple, Mr. Norm. But I appreciated that he was a character and a man who had talent. I must confess that I'm more affected by his death than I had thought. That's just the way it is, you know. My artistic temperament has always pushed me to be a little bit sentimental.
To whom could this shred of cloth collected from the rocks of the Belvedere belong?
I don't know. It's... No, I know nothing at all, really.
Do these pearls mean anything to you?
No, really, they don't mean anything to me.
Who is the rightful owner of this piece of chain?
It seems to me that Walter Jones wore a small chain like that.
Who normally walks barefoot on the island?
Well, all the women of the island usually do, Norm.
These footprints near the tracks of the wheelchair lead me to think that there was an argument which got out of hand.
Maybe. I'm not a policeman. I'm nothing but a poor architect.
The wheelchairs seemed to be acting strangely before skidding and falling from the cliff. Could it have been malfunctioning? Could a false maneuver have been the reason for the fall?
My God, well, that's hard to say. You know, electronic technology is not always immune to human error.
I'm wondering whose shoe prints these are.
I don't know, Norm. Sorry.
Did Walter Jones die following the first impact on hitting the rocks? Or from what happened to him when he fell further down?
How should I know, Norm? I'm no forensics expert.
What do you think of the attorney, Hubert de Noland?
Noland is a crafty and slick man. I don't trust him, Inspector.
Did you see anyone at the Tortoise Belvedere last evening, or did anything at all catch your attention?
I can't answer your question, Norm. I wasn't there.
Do you know anything about medicine?
No, of course not. What a question.
Too bad. I really need some medical advice. Well, I will wait for the coroner's report.
I get it. Good morning, ma'am. Jack Norm. I'm a police inspector, and I'm charged with the investigation of the death of Mr. Walter Jones.
Good morning, Inspector. Sonia Jones. I'm the granddaughter of Walter Jones. You know, I hadn't thought that my time on Segura would take such a dramatic turn.
If it doesn't bother you, I'd love to take a photo of your hands, please.
Your method of flirting is very questionable, Inspector. But if that's what you want.
Thanks.
I'm collecting footprints, and I'd like to add yours.
Go on. I imagine this is part of the game.
Thanks. I'm hoping to ask you some questions. What can you tell me regarding the death of Walter Jones?
It was Hubert de Noland, you met him, I believe, who told me about the death of my grandfather. Nolan went to the site to rescue my grandfather, but it was too late. And then there was the storm. He advised me not to move, and Billy and Clara too, so we stayed here. This Baina was there, according to what Nolan told us. There's no way that she could have a clear conscience.
Where were you and what were you doing last night?
I spent the evening with my brother Billy and my sister-in-law Clara, Mr. Norm. It was Hubert de Noland, my grandfather's attorney, who informed us of his death.
What was your relationship with Walter Jones?
You know, Mr. Norm, my grandfather was a tough man. He wasn't the sort of grandpa who spoiled my two brothers and me. I didn't feel at ease with him, and our relationship has been tense for a long time. When he made the first move to invite us here, I was surprised. He was really proud, and that touched me. I'm horrified by the conditions under which he died, and I am sad. Yes, I am saddened by his death. It's odd, isn't it?
Do these pearls mean anything to you?
Pearls of no value, Inspector, like the ones worn by the indigenous people of the archipelago. No, they don't mean any more than that to me.
Who is the rightful owner of this piece of chain?
I do have the impression that my grandfather wore something that looked like it. It's pretty ugly in any case. Even if we agree it's made of gold. Wait, yes, I do believe... But at the same time, I'm not sure.
What do you know about Lorenzo Battaglieri?
Lorenzo is an old friend, Inspector. We've known each other for a long time. He's a refined and charming man. Someone dependable.
What do you think of the attorney, Hubert de Nolant?
Hubert de Nolant is definitely a remarkable man, Inspector. Intelligent, adroit, and terribly efficient.
Did you see anyone at the Tortoise Belvedere last evening, or did anything at all catch your attention?
I spent the evening with my brother Billy and my sister-in-law Clara. We were relaxed and we all chatted. I saw nothing and I heard nothing, Mr. Norm. Sorry to disappoint you.
Do you know anything about medicine?
No.
In that case, you can't help me. I get it. Here are the footprints of the young hyena. If I believe this letter, Colio had Jones in his pocket.
Correct match.
These pearls look alike. They're from the same necklace. Hyena's necklace. Good morning, miss. I'm Jack Norm. I'm a police inspector. That means I will conduct an investigation about the death of Mr. Jones. Walter Jones, you understand?
My daughter has not spoken for years. Leave her alone. She has nothing to do with all your cop business.
If it doesn't bother you, I'd love to take a photo of your hands, please. Thanks. makes me strangely think of the tip of the nail that was left embedded in old Jones's face.
Correct match. Correct match.
I need you to enlighten me on a point. What can you tell me regarding the death of Walter Jones? Where were you and what were you doing last night? What was your relationship with Walter Jones? Walter Jones gave this to you, didn't he? For what reason? Not very talkative. How did you lose your pearls close to the place where Walter Jones fell? Opportunistic muteness, isn't it? Baina, had you argued with Walter Jones yesterday evening? Strange girl. How did you break this nail? I would love it if you could tell me a little about Sonia. What do you know about Lorenzo Battagliere? What do you think of the attorney, Hubert de Noland? Did you see anyone at the Tortoise Belvedere last evening, or did anything at all catch your attention? I think you're making fun of me. Good morning, sir. I'm Jack Norm. I'm a police inspector. I'm investigating the demise of Mr. Walter Jones.
I saw the helicopter, Jack Norm. I am Colio. I have been a fisherman here forever. My daughter's name is Baina. She lives here with me. Zagora is an island blessed by the gods. Old Jones is dead, and it's sad. But he was lucky to die in Zagora.
May I photograph your shoes?
You are the boss, Jack Norm.
Thanks.
What is it? What do you want, Jack Norm?
What is this gift hiding? Why did Jones try so hard to secure you and your daughter's future?
Jones was in love with my daughter, Baina. I agreed to give him my daughter, but he wanted to have her before marriage. He called spirits of shame over me. Jones told me he wanted to give Baina all his wealth after his death. Even so, I told him one had to wait so that the evil spirits could pass far from here.
What can you tell me regarding the death of Walter Jones?
Old Jones was a bad guy, that is for sure. So he had enemies. That is how it is. This man was asking for trouble.
Where were you and what were you doing last night?
I was in the cabin with my daughter, Baina.
What was your relationship with Walter Jones?
Sometimes we had hatred. Sometimes we liked each other. But we did not know each other well. I do not know if I am sad or not. I would have liked to say goodbye to him, to Walter Jones. That's all.
Walter Jones gave this to Baina, didn't he? What were the bonds that connected them?
Old Jones gave it to my daughter. Baina can never speak again because of him, so he gave her gifts like this.
Can you tell me more about the circumstances of this accident, please?
Baina had climbed with Jones to the top of Hawita, and they fell. I don't know how it happened. Jones never wanted to answer my questions, and Baina, since that day, no longer speaks.
To whom could this shred of cloth collected from the rocks of the Belvedere belong?
It is the sea that snags all this in the rocks, I tell you, Jack Norm. It comes from another part.
According to you, how could Baina have lost pearls from her necklace?
Baina walks often. Baina lost her necklace, that is all.
Who is the rightful owner of this piece of chain?
It comes from the sea. One finds many things in the rocks.
It seems that Baina accompanied Walter Jones to the Tortoise Belvedere, but she would have been careful not to leave her footprints if she had deliberately planned to kill Jones.
You should not say things like this, Jack Norm. Baina did not kill old Jones. Baina is innocent.
For what reason could Baina and Walter Jones have quarreled?
Lorenzo can speak about that. I do not feel like it.
The wheelchairs seemed to be acting strangely before skidding and falling from the cliff. Could it have been malfunctioning? Could a false maneuver have been the reason for the fall?
I don't know, but it is possible.
Did Walter Jones die following the first impact on hitting the rocks, or from what happened to him when he fell further down?
I was not there to see it, Jack Norm.
Do you know how Baina broke one of her fingernails?
Baina works with her hands, Jack Norm.
I would love it if you could tell me a little about Sonia.
No one can control Sonia. Sonia is a strong and free woman, like Sagora.
What do you know about Lorenzo Battaglieri?
Lorenzo is a good man, Jack Norm. Lorenzo helped Baina after the terrible accident. Lorenzo has always been obliging and good with Baina and Colio.
What can you tell me about your daughter?
Baina is Colio's son. And Colio is willing to break Jack Norm's head if Jack Norm says bad things about Baina.
What do you think of the attorney, Hubert de Noland?
I do not like judges and lawyers who are like gods, Jack Norm. Gods alone should be gods. And I like policemen worse still than judges and lawyers, Jack Norm.
Do you know anything about medicine?
No.
In that case, you can't help me. Did you see anyone at the Tortoise Belvedere last evening, or did anything at all catch your attention?
I don't know. I spent the evening in the cabin with Baina.
I understand.